if you've been placed in the Inaka and you're a little bit worried, I would just say that's completely valid. There's no like translations of places, so it was just the kanji of the place. Right, well, guess I need to learn the kanji of every town. I pass people in the street and I'm like, konnichiwa, and people are just like, I spent all of my money. I had no savings.
Did you ever regret coming given your placement? Hello guys and welcome back to my channel where I talk about Japan, the JET program, showcasing my travel and experiences and so on. So if any of that interests you, be sure to subscribe. Here with me today we have the delightful Hannah. For anyone who is thinking about applying for JET or is coming on JET and just got their placement and you're just a little concerned about what it might be like to be placed in the countryside, far removed from all the cities and stuff, well, Hannah can very much speak to that experience, who you may recognize from some previous videos.
Who is the most glittery girl? It's this girl. It's that one right there. What have you been up to? Tell me everything.
Listening to Pentagon.
Pentagon's Daisy's got 10 million views, guys.
Where I am in the Tansey region in between Osaka and Kobe and Kyoto and all the fabbest places in Japan, Hannah was placed in
Miyazaki, Obi.
Do you know this place?
I arrived in Japan 2 years ago. I've actually finished my time on JET. I'm no longer a JET. But I was placed in Miyazaki Prefecture in a little town called Obi, which is maybe an hour south of the main city. It's by the coast, it's very beautiful. There's not a lot going on though. It's quite a quiet little town. Most of the people who live there are in their hundreds.
Today is my 111th birthday!
I think something, just to quickly mention, is that there are very much levels of Inaka. I don't drive in Japan, so my level of Inaka was really heightened because of that, but there are some people who get placed in like Okinawa who are like a boat ride away from the nearest konbini. And there's like one Tokyo JET who's very mysterious, no one knows who it is, who actually lives on an island. So while I was pretty Inaka, I wasn't that guy.
Yeah, definitely driving helps a lot. Actually, like, when I was applying, I was glad I didn't drive because I was like, oh, maybe that'll give me more chance of being in a place with good public transport. When you found out about your placement, how did you feel? What was your initial reaction?
I remember it so well because I got home from my job. I was working in a primary school. I walked home. There was my brown envelope lying on the thing and I was like, oh my god, it's here, I'm finally going to find out where I'm going. I open it up, I take it out and it's like, you have been placed in Miyazaki Prefecture. And I was like,
where is that?
Cool. I had no idea where it was. Googled it. Not a lot comes up. Very rural.
So once you realised it was more of a smaller place, how did you feel?
I was nervous. I was excited because like you prepare a lot to get on JET. And so I felt like I was waiting forever and ever. So I felt relieved, I was excited, but like definitely there was a creeping sense of like, oh god, what have I done?
Now that your time on JET and in Japan is over, sad reacts only please, how do you feel looking back on it?
I have overwhelmingly positive feelings with the occasional gripe. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Good. Well, that's good though.
Yeah. But so does everyone. Like people get placed in Tokyo and still complain that like they're lonely.
Let's delve into your actual experience there. What was that like? What was good? What was bad? And whatever.
If you are placed in the Inaka, the likelihood is, if you're a high school JET, you're probably going to live really close to your school. So one of my real perks was I once woke up at 8:20 and was on time for school.
Cannot relate.
I think another great part is that if you're in like a small town, like I didn't necessarily know everyone, but everyone sort of knew me. So like when you're walking to the shop after school, going to get yourself some snacks, the elementary school kids will all be like, hello.
Aww.
And it's really cute. And like I really struggle going to cities now because I'm always like I pass people in the street and I'm like, konnichiwa, and people are just like,
do you feel like you integrated into the community in Obe at all?
I didn't do a great job, so my level of Japanese is not high.
How was the language barrier for you? Because obviously in cities, there is a decent amount of English, and I've said on a lot of videos before, you can get by with very minimal Japanese.
You learn a lot very quickly and then really strongly plateau. That was my experience. The first time I ever tried to like get the train, there's no like translations of places, so it was just the kanji of the place. So I was just like, right, well, guess I need to learn the kanji of every town, because otherwise I'll just have no idea where I'm going at any point. But the other thing is, it's all well and good to study Japanese from a textbook, but as soon as you're in Japan, especially in rural Japan, the dialects will get you.
Because it's not how they teach it in most normal, like,
it's not
formal
standard
way.
Japanese.
How was your kind of like day-to-day life there? What is there to do?
I just left. All the time.
All the time. Oh, no. I see.
Pre-corona, I just left all the time. No, I think my life was very sort of, no, I don't want to say dull, but it was a little. My work was like my entire social life, because, as I say, I don't drive. The Jets who were in Nichinan for elementary and junior high school, they were kind of like, one was a bit older, one's a real homebody, the other one had like a girlfriend in America, so he was constantly like on the phone to her.
In Kansai, there's so many ALTs. It doesn't matter if you don't get on with some people, you can just find other people to hang out with, whereas you're kind of stuck with who you get in the Inaka.
Yeah, I'm kind of fortunate in the sense that I like am a bit of an introvert as it goes anyway, so like I really didn't mind the alone time.
How easy was it to save money in the Inaka, given that you were, not going out as often and stuff?
So this year, handily, super easy to save money. I saved so much because I literally couldn't go anywhere. But the year previous, I spent all of my money.
Was it all on travel?
All on travel. I had no savings because I literally was just like, let's go somewhere this weekend. I needed something to look forward to so that to keep me sane. So like I would always be like, right, well, this month I'm gonna go to Tokyo and like do something, and this month I'm gonna go skiing with like my pals in Yokohama, or this month I'm gonna do this and this, like, so
obviously you had stuff to look forward to, but with the day-to-day while you were in your town, what other things did you do to help kind of like stay sane in like the loneliness of it all, kind of?
I was just super into K-pop. Yeah, I just was a bit of a homebody and like waited for the weekends.
What was the one best and one worst thing about your life in the Inaka?
The worst thing is definitely the public transport. People who are in Japan will tell you that the public transport here is like magical. That is a lie. As soon as you get out of a city. My train came once every hour and a half. Stop at every stop in the world. They stop for lunch as well. They stop for 3 hours at lunch. I had to go to the nearest high school ALT and like observe him because he was new and like just give him some pointers. And because I don't drive, it was going to take an hour and a half on the train, which was fine. I was meant to be there at 2:00, and so I had to leave at like 10:10, because if I went any later, I was going to miss this 2:00 appointment because the trains just stopped for so long. Oh, the rain stops them as well.
Like even a little bit of rain.
Typhoon season's a nightmare.
So what was the best thing?
My school. I love my school an unreasonable amount. My school is a vocational school. It is a technical high school, but also an agricultural high school, but also a commercial high school, but also a welfare high school. All of these high schools that were originally separate high schools had to close because there just wasn't enough students, so they just made one mega vocational high school because everyone leaves Nichinan because it's boring. Love you, Nichinan.
So what made your school the best part of your experience?
I have a controversial opinion. City kids, particularly academic city kids, don't have a personality. None of them. Because all they think about is studying. My students were like a proper laugh. I don't think I'm allowed to tell some of the stories.
Were you able to communicate with them?
No. I had 2 boys who were like very good at English, but the rest of them, I couldn't have a conversation with almost all of my students. The only two I could think of would be those two boys.
What was the most unexpected thing when you arrived?
I was really surprised at how like bold people were at coming up and just like talking to you. I was asked at least once a week by an old woman, "Excuse me, how tall are you?" Because I'm not like super tall in the UK. Also, "Excuse me, do you play volleyball?" And I would always be like, "Yes."
Literally the guy at the bar last night was like, he just looked at me and went, "Sports?" And
Sports?
I was like, no. What did you miss the most about cities or city life?
Just being able to like text someone and be like, "Oh, do you want to do something? Do you want to hang out?" And not have to have it be a plan. There's no way I could have messaged you and been like, "Oh, should we go for pizza this week?"
I mean, we could have, but it would have been very expensive.
It would have been incredibly expensive. It would have taken me at least 6 hours to get there, because you would have to get the hour-long train to, not the airport, because obviously it doesn't go straight to the airport, to a station, and then either walk for 20 minutes to the airport or wait a nondescript amount of time, because you never know if that train's going to come or not. And then obviously you've got to go through security and all that, which is incredibly lax at Miyazaki Airport. Oh, that was maybe something that surprised me, was the amount of times like I accidentally like left my phone in my pocket and walked through the metal detector. They were just like, "Hey!"
And how expensive was it for you to get to Osaka?
It really, really depended on the
Time of year
airline.
and stuff. Oh, the airline. Oh, okay.
Every time I took a weekend trip, I always had to take the Friday off to get there.
Yeah.
I needed a full day to travel out of Miyazaki.
That's what I did to get here.
Literally.
Did you ever regret coming given your placement?
No. This year was obviously very different. Even people in like cities struggled this year because everybody's life completely changed. Because my town is full of old people, I didn't even want to go to Miyazaki City on a weekend because, God forbid, I went up, was totally fine, but got corona. Like, I didn't want to come back and, like, affect my town in some way. I had, like, 12 weeks where the only people I saw were, like, the people at my desk.
Given that corona's not going anywhere right now, people who are coming on Jet now or thinking of applying to Jet, do you think it's worth doing with such a placement at this time, or do you think it would be better for them to kind of hold off applying for Jet?
I think it's still worth it. I think that you need to seriously consider what kind of person you are. There's different ways to like tackle the Inaka. My personal way of getting through it was to have plans to go to other places and to visit new places. That was my coping mechanism with the Inaka, so then corona really like affected that. Whereas like I have another friend who lived in a pretty Inaka town. She watched all of the seasons of Orange is the New Black over like a few days, and then she went, "Not doing this." So she decided to like really throw herself into the community, and like she joined a Japanese drumming club and like knows literally everyone in Takanabe. So like there's different ways of doing it. I think I'd still recommend it. I think that you need to make sure that you have a strong support network if you're going to do it.
So what advice would you give to people who have been placed in the Inaka, or even just specifically your successor, whoever takes your place? There's your chance.
My advice first that I actually give to people who've just arrived is to make a friend in the nearest city, like a good pal that like you can crash on their floor. Hey Molly. She had like a spare bedroom. So she was just like, well, whenever you want, like the door's open, not literally. You will really benefit from having a place to crash that's kind of local, but like a little bit bigger. If you are coming on orientation, make friends with people in big cities. You'll start off in a massive group chat of people who've come from where you've come from.
Yeah, we had
like,
the Edinburgh ALT's group chat for that year.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was like very intense. I say it was a lot. I was one of the main contributors. Then you'll really you'll find your niche in that.
Yeah.
And then siphon them off yourself into a BTS themed chat.
That is essential. We also had the middle step of the serial confessors group chat after we all went off to our own parts of Japan. Like when you first come to Japan,
You've always got stories.
it's a bit messy in the beginning. And so every Sunday we'd have confession time where we'd share various stories.
I wouldn't, because I lived in the Inaka, so I never had anything to tell anyone.
And then eventually we narrowed it down to even better people.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And have like a real plan of things that you want to do. And don't be afraid to ask people to do things.
Yes, that is, even in general as an ALT, like if you want to go traveling and you want to see more, you need to just be like, yo, do you want to go to this place?
Do you want to do that? For example, like that's how we went to Seoul the first time, is we were just like, do you want to go?
If you look to your left, you will see the Palace Activity Room where the activities take place.
And then like that's how we went to Eric Nama's. I was like, do you guys want to go and see Eric? Love of my life.
We got to shake his hand afterwards as well, which was quite a life-changing moment, I would say.
I would agree.
How were his hands, Hannah?
They were the softest things I've ever felt in my entire life.
Is there anything that we've not covered about your experience in the Inaka?
If you've been placed in the Inaka and you're a little bit worried, I would just say that's completely valid. You're absolutely valid to feel like that. But try not to stress too much. Try to, you know, enjoy it. Maybe you'll only stay for a year. Maybe you'll find a city job and like the next year. Is what it is. But really just like try and enjoy your school. Your school are literally going to be your family.
So where are you off to now? Do you want to tell the people what you're up to next now that your time on Jet's over?
So I loved Inaka life so much that I'm going to move to Seoul to teach at like after school English cram situation. And I am super excited.
Yes, you definitely deserve some city lifetime. Oh, I'll miss you. I hope this video was useful for you guys. If you have any further questions or anything, just comment it all below. Subscribe for more about Jet and stuff. Yep.
If anybody is at my school, feel free to tell me so that I can tell my school, because they're freaking out.
And we're going to take a nap, and then we're going to hit up a club tonight. So it should be fun. Yeah.